What are your immigration options if you have DACA and you marry a US citizen? I get this question all the time. I have other videos on the subject, but I want to address it directly in this video. If you're interested in more DACA related topics and news, be sure to subscribe because in a few weeks I'm going to be talking about the new immigration rules and regulations pertaining to DACA applications. So the reason you're watching this video is because you want to know whether you can apply for your green card based on your marriage to a US citizen. And the answer is maybe. It depends. And it typically depends on two specific things. One, do you have an old removal or deportation order? You can actually get DACA even if you have an old removal order in your file, in your alien file. A lawyer can easily answer this question for you if you don't know the answer yourself. The second question is, were you admitted or inspected into the United States? Basically, did you enter the US legally? Whether you initially entered with a visa or you were recently paroled back into the United States, both of those qualify as legal entries and will be prerequisites for applying for adjustment of status. In a recent video, I explained that if you don't have evidence of a legal entry, so for example, you were brought to the US illegally through the border when you were a child before you applied for DACA. In that situation, your illegal entry might be able to be fixed with a future application for advanced parole. In the video, I described that you would basically apply for this immigration benefit and USCIS would give you permission to leave the US and re-enter and be paroled back into the United States. Once you're paroled, we have proof of a legal entry, and that will, for many people, fix the problem of not being able to adjust status and apply for a green card based on their marriage to a US citizen spouse. So you generally need both things. You need the qualifying family member, which in this case is a US citizen spouse, and you need proof of legal entry. If you have both of those things and you don't have a deportation order, then most people will probably be eligible to apply for adjustment of status. We need to screen for some other things like criminal activity, but as a general statement, those are the two main things that I'm looking for when I'm screening someone before I apply for their green card. I also mentioned that if you have an old removal order, a lawyer might be able to figure this out and possibly even fix it. I discussed this in two recent videos. One of them was about FOIA's, Freedom of Information Act requests, and the other one is about motions to reopen, fixing old deportation orders. So be sure to check out those videos, but as a general matter, I would apply for a copy of your FOIA, your background, all of the immigration files that might exist for you. And based on that, I might have to reopen your old deportation order to clear it out, and then that might fix the impediment and allow us to apply for your green card. What should you do if you don't want to take the risk of applying for advanced parole, which requires you to leave the US and re-enter, or you don't want to try to reopen an old removal order? Well, in that situation, I would generally advise to just renew your DACA status in a timely basis. Try not to let it ever expire. Right now, if it expires, you can just renew it, but that might not be true in the future. If the status lapses in the future, there might be regulations or changes in policy that make it more difficult. DACA is a weird creation of policy, and it's not really a product of actual law. So it's in a complicated space in the immigration world, and the rules are constantly shifting and evolving. So be sure to always speak with an immigration lawyer before you make any decision that could affect your future. Although DACA allows you to live in the US with employment authorization without really worrying about problems with immigration authorities, it's not exactly an immigration status the same way a visa or permanent residence, a green card, would be. There are benefits to DACA over having no status at all, of course. In fact, it offers some protections against deportation in some situations. But permanent residence is always the goal in these situations because it gives you the right to live here by law, work here by law, and you're on a pathway to citizenship. So whenever possible, I would encourage someone who is eligible to apply for permanent residence. Immigration law is all I do, but I can't know what videos you guys want me to make, so be sure to tell me in the comments what questions you have about this subject or any other immigration law related subject. DACA is a particularly complicated form of status because it's not even real immigration status. Like I said, it wasn't created by law, it's a creature of policy. So naturally, you're gonna have a lot of questions about the interplay between this policy and actual immigration law. So be sure to put them in the comments below. I've also alluded to several other videos I've made on these subjects. I'll try to link to some of them at the end of this video. And remember, in a few weeks, I'm gonna be doing another video on the new policy updates for DACA applications. So be sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.